Age of Heroes is a worker placement game that has the X-Men as its topic. Players will control teams of X-Men and you will collect resources and then you spend them to complete different missions and score points and ultimately at the end win against your opponents. Yes, this is something that made me feel very conflicted at the beginning when, well, first I was excited, yay, a game about the X-Men, and I assumed it had to be cooperative because that is the topic. Reading the X-Men, that is when, for the first time, I heard the expression, a team is more than the sum of its parts, and that's something that always resonated with me. But this is a competitive game. If you're playing as Jean Grey and Cyclops, you're playing against Magic, you're playing against Forge and Storm, Kitty Pryde and Lockheed, Gambit and Rogue, or Jubilee and Wolverine. Only one team will win, and sometimes, yes, you will want to be mean and to clog spaces, block resources, and steal an opportunity to score points from your opponents. So, alas, when I realized that was the idea, I was pretty disappointed, but bear with me, there may be a plot twist there at the end in the conclusions. So let me give you an overview of the game. So each player will have a team of heroes, with the exception of Magic. She's a team of her own. And each team will have a board, such as the one that you see here, with cubes keeping track of physical, mental, and willpower, the three main resources that you will accumulate during the game and then spend to perform specific actions. Each board has a number of slots so you can place evolution cards, and each team has different sets, and you choose which ones you want to play, which one to use in a certain game, and then during the game, you can perform actions to add these to your board. Each will give a permanent benefit. And each board may have one or more slots where you can add an evolution card for free. You still have the opportunity cost of using the corresponding action. But then there will be other slots that require spending things. For example, to place a card here, I also need to spend 2 physical. And as I said, different boards will have different things. This game really has very different teams with different abilities, different cards, different things that these heroes do. And then the heroes themselves are represented by acrylic figures, which is just one of my favorite ways of having miniatures in the game, because acrylics, they look nice and sharp and shiny. They are three-dimensional enough for me. They are thematic enough, and I don't have to paint them. I don't have to do anything. I just love them. And here's just a close-up, say, of Magic, for example. So really really nice looking acrylic miniatures here. Just a quick look so you can also see, for example, Forge and Storm. So this is worker placement. So basically you will trigger actions by placing these miniatures in specific locations on the board. And you wonder, is it only decorative that say this team has 2 different characters? No, it's not, because different abilities, especially when it comes to evolution, may turn your workers into different things, meaning may give them different abilities. So placing this character after you use evolution cards may not be the same as this one. There may be different abilities, scoring possibilities. Huge customization, really. Also, what you see here, the board that I just showed you, you see this is the golden side, because each team board actually has 2 sides, blue and gold. And again, if you read X-Men comics in the 1990s, you know what that's a reference to. But that means also that the 2 sides of the board play in different way. Incredible variety of gameplay here. Not just that, more variety comes from the fact that there are 3 missions, so the game will not always be the same. You'll have Children of the Atom, you have Fatal Attractions, and you have Fall of the Mutants. Incidentally, I set up the game now for Fall of the Mutants. Oopsie, some of them fell. Now, In each mission you will have different villains, and you will have these tiles here that go together, and so they'll be combined. These tiles will be combined with different other villains, supreme masters, acolytes, things. What does it mean? That by combining these tiles with these other tiles, different lines will be activated. In this case, for example, you're gonna have this symbol here associated with this cost, this symbol with this different cost, this symbol with this cost, and also different amounts of victory points. That means that by spending these things, these resources, you can perform that action and score that many victory points. It may also mean that if you are able to activate this symbol anywhere on the board, again, that is also how you activate that. But again, by separating these with different tiles placed here, then there may be different symbols associated with different costs. And this is for the mutants, so you're gonna have Apocalypse, and in the specific situation, you also have 4 X-Men that have been turned into the Horsemen, and if you defeat them, it's gonna make it more more likely that you will actually also defeat Apocalypse. Also, the ones that you defeat, you can recruit. So, very thematic there and based on famous storylines. Then we have our board, which starts pretty empty, but it won't stay that empty for long. And we have cards, a deck of cards, and some will be visible there at the beginning. Some are assigned to the players at the beginning, so you start with a hand of cards. And these cards are very important because some are event cards, and as you play them, then you will simply be able to do what it says. Other cards, however, are placed on the board, and basically they become spaces on which you can place your workers. For example, cards with the symbol can be placed on locations on the board and have the same symbol, and now they become allies that you can visit to trigger the corresponding action. Cards with this symbol are placed in locations with that symbol, and they become team-ups, and we'll see what that means. So, the giant idea is this. The giant idea is pretty simple. It's a worker placement, so place a worker, meaning place one of your characters, in a space that was already printed on the board, such as this one, or in a space that has become available because you placed a team-up or an ally card there. Place a worker in a space and do what it says, plus again possibly different unique things that happen because you evolved your worker and now they have different things, different abilities. The places in which you place your workers can be again allies, can be slots. It can also be the X-Jet. If you place characters on the X-Jet, you start from the top and then you go down, and the first player to place a character on the X-Jet gets the special ability or the bonus ability of playing one of those blue cards, the team-ups, which again would go in that slot there. Oh, suppose I played Magic there, I'm the first one, so as a free action I also get to place a team-up. Once we place all of our actions, all our workers in spaces such as on the board or the X-Jet, well, we finish the first phase of each round. In the second phase of each round, we perform the mission. So our jet goes around and we start dropping people to do different things. In that phase, then starting with the character on top of the X-Jet and going down, these can be relocated to the team-ups, if any are available, or to the extraction zone where you can get a benefit, one of those benefits, and these benefits change over time. So in different turns, you will have different benefits available. If you send the character from the X-Jet to the extraction zone, there may also be cards here, and then you can also visit those. Or from the Quinjets, if you have the corresponding resources, you can jump directly and jump onto one of these locations here. You pay the corresponding cost, and you have basically defeated that line. You place a token there, and you score the corresponding amount of points. And you defeat a villain when all of the lines have been completed, have been covered like so. Now, I mentioned, remember these symbols here? These symbols here? You can also, so you can fulfill a line on a villain's card bag and going there, basically paying the cost and placing a token there. Or going to a card that has that symbol, then you pay that cost and you still get to place a token on that symbol. For example, I place magic there, I pay those costs, and I can place a token there on the same symbol. So basically I can just go and punch the villain by myself if I jump there, or I can team up with somebody and that somebody helps me defeat the villain. So the idea again is this: each turn is split into two phases. One, the workers will go on different areas, including the X-Jet, and then from the X-Jet they jump here or on the villain's cards. Once you have that general sense, the game again is very simple, because it's basically place a worker in a location and do what it says. Here you get to play an event card, and then you get to place a token here, basically reserving your spot when it comes to a turn order for next turn. Play an ally card, which later will become an available space. Play an evolution card, these small cards that will give you extra abilities. Collect physical power, mental power, willpower, again, and or go on slots that have been made available and perform the corresponding actions. Also, you can go here, it allows you to discard a card in the line face up and then collect 3 or 2 cards, or collect resources if you're playing with 4 or 5 players. So this is basically the idea. Place your workers so to prepare for the mission. Then heroes that have been placed in the X-Jet will go and perform at the missions and collect points from different things. Oh, I didn't mention this, but it's super important. When you place an ally or a team up, you will also place your own marker there to indicate that you recruited that ally, you prepared that team up, and if somebody else is using that, they pay you the corresponding, you receive the corresponding benefits, say drawing a card, getting a student, which is basically a temporary worker that performs an action for you. You place it on your personal board, and you can use them later. And or you score victory points. So basically by recruiting valuable cards that other people will then visit, you get to collect stuff such again extra resources, cards, or simply victory points. Continue like this until the end of the game. What that means exactly depends on which of the 3 scenarios you are playing. Each scenario will have different parameters for when the game ends. And at that point, the player with the highest score wins the game. This game is so good. It is so absolutely phenomenally good that I forgive it for taking a team like the X-Men, which to me is such an iconic symbol of cooperation, and turning that into a competitive game. It's fine. It's fine. I wish it was just like they call the Danger Room. All that happens here is a simulation in which you're training to go against each other. But the fact that you're competing to score more points against Magneto or Apocalypse than their friends is strange. But the game is so phenomenal. It's so good that, again, as I was playing the game, I forgot about that part as I got completely engrossed into the synergies, the unique effects, the abilities, everything is just excellent from that point of view. Production also looks very nice. I like the art with this like watercolor effect. I like the acrylic miniatures, as I said already. One thing that I think could have been done better and more effective is the icons on the villain tiles. So how many cubes it takes to trigger a certain effect and how many points that is worth. they should be bigger. They're really, really small, and the board is long, and so expect these to be physically far from at least some of the players. And we have had people, including me, standing up and going and checking, because I really need to make sure that I'm collecting 3 points in that category and 4 willpower, because if I misread this and I'm one short, then somebody else is going to steal that from me. So it's super important. I wish it just popped and was a lot easier to identify. Back to us, back to gameplay. The general mechanism is as simple as a worker placement can possibly be. Place your worker, do what the space says. But around such a lean, minimalistic idea, even, there are just so many levels of play. There is such a depth of gameplay that is a true joy to explore. And you will keep exploring it every time, because the board will be populated differently. Different cards, meaning different effects, different spaces will emerge each game. Maybe if you play the same scenario a lot of times, it will be more or less the same ones, but it'll come out in different order, which may make a huge difference, because having access to certain abilities, certain spaces earlier or later or never will change the game entirely. Which means this general situation of an almost empty worker placement board at the beginning and a vastly populated and rich board at the end with so many different actions gives to the experience what to me is the most exciting things about modern gaming, which is constantly making interesting decisions. You cannot go on autopilot. There is not going to be any dominant strategy that will work every time. To that, you can add the fact that different teams have really different abilities. And so you will want to collect certain actions and do certain things. Say Gambit can score points by performing actions, meaning playing event cards. And so you will want to do that. Other characters score points in different ways. And so, of course, again, it is a competitive game. So once you become familiar with what your character does, so you're going to try to spam that, whatever engine of points there is there. See if I can prevent the opponents from spamming their own point engine. To an extent, though, it is a game that is competitive, but again, does not feel confrontational in a negative way, because if I'm only clogging certain spaces in order to prevent you from doing something, I'm probably not working optimally on my engine. So again, what I like the most in competitive games of the modern age, where I'm mainly thinking about what I want to do, I'm mainly perfecting and optimizing my engine, and possibly from time to time taking some minor detours to be a little bit annoying, but never to the point of that becoming possibly the source of bad blood and bad feelings. So again, it's not multiplayer solo, it's not confrontational, it strikes this amazing balance there that makes it very exciting to play, and you have the sense of competition, but everybody's entertained. And again, I don't think even with high numbers of players, you're going to have too much of an analysis paralysis problem, because each turn is so quick. Put down your character, collect resources. The fact that you basically each round is like 2 separate mini turns, so one where you're placing things in different locations, including the extra, and then one when you resolve the extra. It gives me actually the feeling that it makes the game feel faster. I don't know if it is faster, but it's just like, now we have the mini turn in which we prepare for the mission. Now we go on the mission and we do different things and moving on to the next thing. So the game moves pretty fast, but again, it has all of these nuances that are just such a pleasure. I found myself so entertained, so excited when I saw a new synergy, a new ways of using powers, a new possibility of altering the board. So fun, so exciting. So, Age of Heroes, truly an impressive game, and in case it hasn't been clear so far, not just a game that I enjoy very much, but one of the best games that I played in a long time.